Hey all, today we're talking about interfaces, and interfaces are one of these things that come up as you start trying to um, write more and more stuff with objects and classes. Um, Interfaces, the idea is that they give you a way to say, these are the methods that are required for a class that implements this interface. What the hell does that mean? So let me offer an example. Like, say I'm making some animals. So let me just grab a notepad window here. So here I have notepad, and I'm just thinking about some animals, right? Like I'm gonna make a game that's kind of animal focused. So I've got ducks. I've got dolphins. Oops, that's not how you spell dolphin. I've got bats, and I've got eagles, and let's see, I've got fish, and like, okay, so I'm kind of getting along here. Oh, fish is kind of a crappy one. How about I've got cod, and you might think of a UML to go with this. You might think, okay, let's see, we've got like an animal abstract class, and then we've got like a bird abstract class, and like maybe a fish abstract class, and then we can like kind of put some stuff in there. I've got maybe a mammal abstract class, but then pretty quickly I run into this idea that's a little weird. That's like bats should probably be able to fly, but it would be weird for me to say that a bat is a bird because bats aren't birds. Cod and dolphins should both be able to swim, but like there's some significant differences there. Like you can't drown a cod. You can definitely drown a dolphin. Um so when we're kind of thinking about this, there's like some like somehow a bat and a dolphin need to be related because they can both implement some kind of sonar thing. And a duck and a bat and an eagle should all be related because they can all fly. And a cod and a dolphin should be related because they can swim. So the idea of an interface is kind of a way to sort out that problem for us. So it's a way to consistently name methods so that we can do polymorphism effectively. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a couple of interfaces. So I'm going to go into new, I'm going to click Java class here, and then I'm going to actually select interface. So the interfaces that I want to make are, I want to make one for flying creatures. And I want to make another one for, let's see, what was my other one I had in here? I wanted to implement sonar creature. So sonar creature. And given the example I started with here, you could probably pretty easily think of making a swimming creature class interface. Now, I might have some abstract classes to go with this. I'm not gonna put the abstract classes in here for right now. I'm just gonna go into flying creature and be like, okay, what does a flying creature need to be able to do? Well, a flying creature ought to be able to fly. So I'm going to say that every flying creature is going to have a void method that's going to be called fly. That's it. Like, that's all you need to write in an interface. All this does is this says every flying creature has to know how to fly. They're going to have to overwrite this fly method. Like, that's it. So I'm going to show you another thing, which is that we can make a default. So if you want to have a way that every creature ought to do something, I'm just going to grab this off to the side because it's just a bunch of print lines. So we put the default keyword in, and then we say the return type, and then we say what the method's called. So I want to make a default method, or a default void method called land. And then I've got some print statements here. Now, what this means is that every flying creature is going to be able to land, and by default, they'll do it this way. So they don't have to override land unless they want to. So let's make a flying creature real quick. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go new Java class. This is going to be a class. Let's see. And I think I'm going to want to make bat. So if we want a bat to be a flying creature, we're going to have to say that bat implements flying creature. And now it's yelling at me. The thing it's yelling at me about is that I haven't yet done the thing that I should have done. So we have to either declare it as abstract or we have to implement fly. Great. Let's implement fly. We were supposed to implement fly anyway. So I'm going to say void fly. And I'm going to run into a problem here. Okay. Now, problem here is going to be a weird one. I'm going to get that it clashes with fly because I'm attempting to assign some weaker privileges. So what that means is that in my interface, because my interface is public and my fly method is undeclared here, that by default is public. So what I want to do is I want to go in here and say, all right, the void or the fly method, that's going to be a public method. And then because I'm overriding a method, I really should, again, this is not a you have to, but I'm going to say you have to. I'm going to say you have to override. So the keyword override here lets me know that for sure this is actually overriding something. That keeps me from doing things like spelling things wrong. Override says it doesn't override anything. So we're going to have to put that in here. And then here I just want to put out some way that some way that flying happens. So I'm just going to print, soaring like a brick. Bats are better flyers than that. Maybe I should, whatever. Okay, so don't make fun of bats. They're cool. All right, what if I wanted my bat to have some sonar? So I'm going to go into the sonar creature interface, and I'm going to say, what does a sonar creature do? Well, a sonar creature should have a sonar method. That's all I'm going to put in here. That's it. Oops. We don't need a body because, again, this is an interface, so it's kind of abstract. It's just telling you what the thing should do. I'm not going to put a default in here because I think everything should implement sonar in its own way, right? Bat's sonar is pretty different than dolphin sonar, but they should both have something called sonar. Okay, so now I should be getting some complaints, but I haven't told it yet that I want it to implement sonar creature. So I'm going to tell it I want it to implement sonar creature. Now we're going to get, we have to override sonar. So what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to do public. I'm just going to go down here and select that we're overriding sonar. Great. So now when we override sonar, we just put in whatever behavior we want here. So I'm going to put in some narration. Ping. Right, and however sonar works for you, like you put that in here. Great. So now my bat class implements the flying creature and the sonar creature interfaces. Notice I haven't overridden the land method that a flying creature gets by default. So let's go ahead and make ourselves a bat. So I'm going to make a bat that I'm going to call Bobby. Bobby. Call Bobby the bat. Is going to be a new bat. And I don't have any constructor, like there's nothing going on with Bobby, so we're just going to check and make sure this works. So we're going to do Bobby.fly. We can do Bobby.land. And let's test out Bobby.sonar. Okay, so our bat now is flying, landing, and making some sonar. So when we press run here, great. So we've got interfaces, that's coming from this print line here. Then we're creating our bat. Then we're flying, so that's the soaring like a brick. We're landing, so that's our three things from our default landing method that we wrote. And then we're doing our sonar method of ping at the bottom here. The great thing about this is that multiple classes, so a class can implement multiple interfaces, and multiple interfaces can implement, multiple classes can implement the same interface. So this gives us some nice flexibility. These things are really good for making sure that every creature that you're implementing has the methods that you want it to have. Otherwise, it's going to yell at you, right? We're going to get an error if we haven't implemented fly in a flying creature. We're going to get an error if we haven't implemented sonar in a sonar creature. This is a good practice to make these things. Makes your life a little easier because you can't forget stuff and then realize that you have this bug later. So, hope this is helpful. Thank you guys very much. I know this is a short one, but I do aim to sometimes keep them short. Thanks, guys. Catch you on the next one.